If there's one thing we've learned about business and life, it's that people are the X factor. They constantly surprise us, both in amazing ways and not so much. We're Ben and Syya, and welcome to the Gnaw on This Business Bytes podcast. This show is all about real life things we all deal with every day, how they relate to business, and how to make some sense out of our daily chaos. Welcome to the show. And welcome back to another episode of Gnaw on This Business Bytes. I'm Ben, and this is Syya. Here's something that I was talking to a customer about the other day. Micro actions, macro impact, small shifts that matter. It's amazing how the little things make all the difference. I don't know how many people in this room are sailors, but I grew up on the ocean. And it's amazing how a small tweak in direction, getting the sails just perfect, lining up the rudder, perfectly, all those little things, making sure there's not kelp on the side of the boat, can pick up a knot or two. And when you're racing, a knot or two can make the difference between second, third, fifth, or 10th place. So it's those little things that matters, those little things, whether it's in our personal life, whether it's in our work life, whether it's in our entertainment. And we look at it, we sit there and say, okay, what are the little things that we can just pay a little bit more attention to? And we can do just a little bit better that are going to have huge impact. So Syya, let's gnaw on this.
Ooh-wee. I mean, what's that called? The butterfly effect, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Or my personal favorite, don't make me sing. Oh my gosh. The grabbing hands grab all they can. Everything counts in large amounts. Everything counts in small amounts. So everything that you do has a great impact elsewhere, whether you realize it or not, intentionally or not intentionally. And it's, man alive, you don't realize I think sometimes we don't realize our effect on people in general.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, whoosh, like whoosh. Like I think teachers probably, they get students day in, day out, and they never know where their kids end up, landing next in life. And then you get I remember when we were graduating high school seniors, we went back to our sixth grade teacher because that teacher was our favorite teacher.
Yeah.
And we all come walking in, and she just started crying like instantaneously. And she just said, "Oh my goodness." She goes, "I remember you guys." And she just said, we were that class to her.
Uh-huh.
We were special.
Good, bad, and ugly. Yes.
Oh, all of the above we were to her. But it was just really lovely to just, she sat back and, again, we're seniors. We're about to be 18, but she talked to us like adults. And
Nice.
I loved that about her because she when we were in sixth grade, she challenged us in a lot of different ways. And boy, when we pushed her buttons. We tried so hard in so many ways, but she loved it. She loved the challenge, and then she would give it back. And I think that's so much a little bit of my edge. I think I have so much. Mrs. Barton, I love you. I heard she has since passed on, unfortunately, but yeah, that small impact you don't think you do. It's funny. Okay, I have to tell you because you got me in memory. Okay,
Absolutely.
small thing, but I remember, and it's a childhood memory with Mrs. Barton. She had this locker thing that she had in her, like, it's like the cubby. She had a
Right.
mirror on the inside, and she was a tall lady. She was like 6 foot tall. And I just remember every day after lunch, we'd come back into our class. She'd come in, and I always see her touching up her lipstick. And I remember making a comment because you and I haven't met in person, but I'm pretty tomboy. Like if I have my choice, I'm wearing sneakers, pants, t-shirts, concert t-shirts typically. And I just remember walking up, I go, "Mrs. Barton," like, why do you put that? And it was always like a spicy, like a lipstick color, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm like, why you like lipsticking, whatever I said, whatever. And she just looked at me, she goes, "Honey, it may not be your cup of tea, but always know this makes me feel good. So find something that makes you feel good. This is what I do." And just that way,
Nice.
find what makes you feel good. And I was like, I like that. And so because of her, I'm partially deaf now because I go to concerts. So there you go.
because you do what you like best.
And little message. Now I am deaf. Thank you, Mrs. Barton. I'm kidding, but I probably am partially deaf. Anyway, that's the story. But it was just one of those little things that stuck with me. It's like, always be you, do you, you know what I mean? And it stuck with me. So I never thought about it until now. She is one of the major key people that has always been in the back of my brain of that. So yeah, little thing. Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's interesting because we all had teachers like that. I mean, do you remember the movie Mr. Holland's Opus?
Oh my gosh.
Did you ever
Yeah.
watch it with Dreyfuss?
Yeah.
Can't
Richard
remember
Dreyfuss.
Richard Dreyfuss. And it's all about he believes that his life has been wasted. He spent 35 or 40 years as a teacher, and he felt that his life was on the day that he retired, his students got together for 40 years who he taught music to for 40 years and played for him his opus that he had been writing for 40 years and never got to actually be a concert conductor, and his students got together and played this for him, and it was the sense of joy and excitement and everything that went with it, to sit there and say I made a difference in these people's lives. And I think there was the governor of the state. I think there was people had gone on and doing amazing things with their lives, but they always remember Mr. Holland, and the lessons that they learned in music class. And I think we all have people like this, and and that's why I mentor. I mean, it's one of the reasons I mentor is, first of all, I get as much out of it as I give. I learn so much from the kids that I mentor. Things that different perspective, different different ideologies, different philosophies of life, different way of looking at problems, and it makes me better. But at the same time, I get to sit there and say, look, I've got a lifetime of falling down holes and figuring out how to get out of them, and being able to impart just some of that knowledge, so maybe they don't fall down the same holes that I do. They can go discover their own holes, but at least I sit there and say, hey, listen, watch out for this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. That one's a killer. That one you're going to break your neck on. And having those discussions, you know, you never know, because sometimes you lose track of people, and sometimes you never know whether what happened to these people and what happened in their lives and where did they go and what did they do. But the people that you do run across 10, 15, 20 years later that still remember those conversations, it's an amazing feeling. It's absolutely an amazing feeling. And, it's not that I turn somebody into, an NHL player. It's not like I turn somebody into the president of the United States. It's not like I turn somebody into a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, but maybe I made their life a little bit easier. And maybe I gave them a little bit of wisdom that enabled them to go off and do amazing things. Or maybe they passed that information off to somebody else who went and did amazing things. And
Yeah.
that's the way I try to live my life. Because the more we can give back, the more that we can create these little moments for people. You enable people to have the skills that they maybe didn't have before, that are going to enable them to go off and do great things.
I think in our in a all things world, happy world, in a fantasy world, that's the word I'm looking for. Man, I'm having fun today.
Disney,
Uh,
Disney.
Disney, in a Disney fantasy world, you'd like to think that, and especially if you're the mentor versus mentee,
Hmm.
you'd like to think that the wisdom you're imparting is always good wisdom, good information, right? And so you just got me thinking of like, okay, let's look, we're all angels and roses and all that, and we like to walk the pony and ride whatever and all that good stuff. But let's twist this a little bit.
Sure.
Do you have a recollection of a time where you've given advice and it wasn't exactly the best advice? Because I know I have one, but I'm curious, do you have one that pops up for you?
You know what? I've certainly given people advice of how to handle a situation and had it backfire on people. There's no question about that. Where either I didn't have all the information, or I read the room wrong, or I read the person wrong. and suggested that somebody do something, they went ahead and did it, and it didn't turn out the way that they wanted to. Absolutely. I'm sure we all have those situations, in life. Nothing with huge ramifications, nothing with, no one ever got fired, no one ever lost their job, no one ever died because of it. But I have given people advice and said, you know what, this is probably what I would do in this situation. And it would be, if given the information I had, that's exactly what I would have done. And we all need to realize that sometimes advice is not perfect because we don't have a crystal ball.
No,
We
no.
we don't, we're not all knowing, we're not all knowledgeable. And what we can do is we can give the best information based on the information we have at the time and the biases that we have within our own psyche.
You just nailed it. Yeah. Like what I was thinking, this one situation, it was advisement that I was given from my mentor for me
Hmm.
to give to my mentee. And I'm not gonna lie to you. This is where, if you're gonna give advisement, trust your gut and your intuition. If you think that
Absolutely.
whatever information you give to someone and you are not comfortable with it or you're not at peace with it, that's a sign that it's not for you to give. Right. And it
Hmm.
could be the right information, but if you just have a misgiving, maybe you're not the right person to deliver that particular message. Right. And yeah, so I had a situation where I had to, not had to, it was very strongly encouraged by my mentor to give advisement to my mentee about something related to their position. And I hated it. I didn't know how to give it to them. I wasn't feeling it. It wasn't authentic to me. And
Hmm.
well, sure, shizers, it was not received well.
Hmm.
And it was a lesson for me as I saw how they literally rejected it. And then I felt like a jerk, right? Because I just gave feedback on something that was an intangible thing, by the way. It wasn't necessarily 100% tied to the job, but it was like job adjacent.
Right.
I'm trying to be vague on purpose because I don't want to identify the situation, but I think that's where the small things matters because that little situation for me was a wake up call to you got to trust who you are because now it's been 20 years and I still regret having that conversation with that person. Now, the funny thing is I talked to that individual literally about 3 or 4 months ago and we'd been on and off because we were colleagues.
Hmm.
And I actually mentioned to them, I said, hey, I just want, I'm kind of bothered. I said this to you. And they freaking didn't have a clue what the hell I was saying. They didn't remember. And I'm like, son of a sea cook. But the thing is, like I said, like you say, the smallest things matter the most because that mattered to me. And
Yeah.
I said my piece, said sorry. And of course, they looked at me like I was, had three heads. But, yeah, yeah. I mean, isn't that the craziest thing that what we have in stories we tell in our heads too that become a small story into a big story? But,
Yeah.
but it really has shaped me to be more mature about giving advice because sometimes it's not always welcome, peeps, right? Or get, whatever advisement you give may not always be welcome.
Well, and that's why I'm a big believer. It says, would you like some advice?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I preface this, look, this is my opinion. Take it for what you're paying for it, which is usually free. And my attitude is that look, here's what I would do in this situation based on this, and this. Here's how I see this issue. This is what it is, and this is what I would do in the situation because because you asked for my opinion. I tend to not give a lot of advice unless it's asked for.
Mm.
And for me, it's I won't want to sit there and cloud somebody's judgment and fog up their reality with my biases, etc. But that it all depends on building those relationships of trust. And I think it's important for you to know that hey, listen, not everything I'm going to say is perfect. I'm not perfect. I am going to make mistakes. And we have to know that about ourselves. We have to embrace that about ourselves is that we have to be careful about the advice that we give.
Yeah.
And the question is it something that I'd want to see or is it something that's the best advice for them?
Yes. True that. You just remind me of too is like, okay, we're talking about advice that we give and whatnot, but it's the same thing could be gestures, right? Small
Yes,
gestures. And
absolutely.
I remember early on in my career in sales, I had to give a quarterly business review. So you have to stand up and present your quarter to
Hmm.
your team. And there's nothing for me, at least, that I can present all day long. I presented in front of 11,000, I think was my highest I've ever presented to. Okay.
Yeah.
But there's something about a room of your peers or
Hmm.
family members who are like, oh my God, they are so judging me. And there's no, this is not the, oh my God, they're judging me. No, they are judging you. You know they're judging you, you know this audience. But at the same time, it's really interesting. I remember it was one of my first few times. I didn't feel very I was new to the team and I
Yeah.
didn't really know them. They knew me in a different capacity. So I moved over from one division to another division. So they knew me, but they didn't know me this way, right? And it was really nice because I was kind of nervous and freaking out about it. And one of the guys noticed, and I was like, those clickers where you go next, next, whatever. I was
Yes. Yeah.
fidgeting with mine, and something wasn't working. And he goes, "Oh, bet you it's a battery." And he just turned around and just gave it to me and didn't think twice, right? Like, and it was just one of those like I didn't know that guy that well at that point,
Hmm.
and it was just a small gesture. But ever since
But it
then, I
meant a
always
lot.
carry. And it was just, he could have been, it's kind of a competitive group, okay?
Sure.
And he gave me something that was going to help me shine, right?
Hmm.
He didn't have to do that. He didn't,
No.
I'm the new kid on the block. He don't care, But ever since then, it's taught me to always have like, I always carry extra batteries. You never know.
You'd be amazed the stuff that I carry in a kit based on, lessons learned over the time of I carry extra light bulbs for my when we used to have projectors.
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
When we used to have projectors, I used to carry extra light bulbs for my projector, just to be on the safe side. But we should actually land this. But I think that what we're trying to get at through this whole thing is that never underestimate the impact a small gesture can make.
Yeah.
Whether it's giving somebody a battery whose battery is dead, whether it's, opening up a door for somebody, whether it's giving somebody a pat on the back or a firm handshake or introducing them into a conversation.
Yeah.
It's amazing the small little gestures that we can have over our lifetime that we don't know where they're going to go and we don't know how people are going to take them and we don't know a thing, and it costs us nothing. It costs us nothing. And because it costs us nothing, why wouldn't you do it?
Legit.
And it just makes it, I'm appealing to everybody's better angels. So let's leave it there. I'm Ben,
I'm Syya.
and we'll see you soon.
Hey, hey, hey. Thanks for listening to another episode of Not on This Business Bites. If you liked what you heard, we most humbly ask that you like, share, and hit that subscribe button. And if you want to communicate more effectively within your organization, contact Ben at yourbrandmarketing.com or me at brilliantbeammedia.com. We can help you build your community, brand awareness, and personality through digital content and podcasting. We cannot wait to hear from you. So see you next week for another episode of Not on This Business Bites.